So the shoes cost $50, and then you decide, okay, let me add
Mm-hmm.
$30. So that $30 is your
Mm-hmm.
cost. I sorry, is your gross profit. Meaning
Mm-hmm.
now 50 plus $30 will give you $80. So meaning when you're going to sell the shoes, you will sell them for $80, and that will be the selling price. That's why we have an equation here
Mm-hmm.
that cost price or cost of sales plus gross profit will give you your selling price or your sales.
Yeah.
Now let's go to
Okay.
markup and margin. So markup is defined as the percentage of gross profit over cost of sales. Cost price is just the meaning as cost of sales, ne? So
Okay.
markup is defined as a percentage of gross profit over cost of sales. So when shows a fraction or percentage of cost price, the gross profit is known as the markup.
Okay.
And then we have margin. Margin is known as the gross profit as a percentage of sales. Margin is known as what gross profit as a percentage over sales, meaning when shows a
Mm-hmm.
fraction or percentage of the selling price, gross profit is known as the margin. Okay, now what does this mean? This simply means that the only thing that you need to know is that when you are given markup, ne, make sure that you have to
Mm-hmm.
use it with your cost of sales only and always. And when you are given margin, make sure that you have to use it with your sales only. Meaning that
Okay.
you can never use margin with cost of sales, and you can never use markup with sales. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand?
So,
Never.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now let's look at an example. So we can calculate markup and margin using this example. So on the screen here, you have the cost. Now your cost of sales or your cost price is $4. And then you decide, okay, no, I want to
Mm.
let me add $1 as my gross profit. So obviously your selling price will be $5. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're asked now to calculate your markup, find your markup, then obviously you will know if you're asked to calculate markup, then obviously you know it's gross profit divided by cost of sales or cost price. Then you multiply by 100 because they are percentages. Percentages are always out of 100.
Mm.
That's why you have to multiply with 100. So how much is our gross profit? It's $1. You divide it by your
Mm.
cost of sales, which is $4.
Mm.
Then you multiply with 100, then you get 25%.
Yeah.
But if you're asked to calculate your margin, then it will be gross profit over sales, selling price over sales. Then you multiply with 100.
Mm.
That's why 1 over
Mm.
5 multiplied by 100, then you get 20%. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
So you just need to know the formulas. The first thing that you need to know is that margin is used with sales only, and markup is used with
Mm.
cost of sales only. That's the first rule that you need to know.
Mm.
And then the second one, you know that to calculate your markup, in cases where you're not given in cases where you're asked to calculate markup, given gross profit and cost of sales, then you should be able to calculate. Then you know that okay, it's gross profit divided by cost of sales. You multiply by 100, and the same applies to
Mm.
margin. Okay. Now, how do we calculate missing figures? Before we go to calculating missing figures, there's another thing that you need to know is that, or let me just make sure maybe
Mm.
it's yet to come. Okay, no, it's not yet to come, so we can do it. Okay, the next thing that you need to know is what
Mm.
happens when you are given. We said that to calculate to calculate uh to calculate gross profit using markup, you need to have cost of sales. Do you understand? So what happens when you are given sales and markup? So what happens when you are given sales and markup? Okay, let's quickly stop sharing this. Then I can show you how to calculate or how to change from markup to margin. So I'll quickly stop sharing. And then share whiteboard. Okay, you can see on the screen, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Not yet. Yeah, now I can see.
So you have markup. Um, so markup.
You said if you are not given what?
What happens? We said that we said that when you can only use markup with cost of sales, and you can only use margin with sales. You understand? So
Yes.
what happens when you are given cost of sales and margin, or sales and markup? And we know that you can never use sales and markup. You understand? So in
Okay.
that case, converting markup to margin. Okay. Now, in cases where you are given cost of sales and you are given cost of sales and margin, like you are given two different things that you cannot use. You understand? So you will need to convert. Now, how do you convert from markup to margin? When converting, okay. When converting to from markup to margin, so for instance, you have you are told that your markup is what's going on now here? Oops, I just erased everything again. Oh, okay. You have 2 over 5. Okay. Now, for instance, you are told that your markup is 2 over 5. Ne? Now you are given markup and sales. And we know that you cannot use markup and sales. Now, in cases where you are given two different things that you cannot use, and you're asked to calculate your gross profit. So you are only given a markup and sales, and you're asked to calculate gross profit. And you know that you cannot calculate gross profit using markup and sales. They don't work together. So in that case, you will need to convert your markup to margin. Now, converting markup to margin is this. It says that the numerator, ne? Remember, this is the numerator and this is the denominator. You know that, right? The number on top is called a numerator. When it comes to fractions, the number on top is called the numerator, and the number at the bottom is called the denominator. Now, converting from markup to margin, you take your numerator as it is, so it's 2. And then you add your numerator to your denominator. You understand? So you add this. You add your 2, your numerator stays the same, and then you take your denominator and then you add your numerator. So you have 2 over 5 plus 2. So your margin will be,
Mm-hmm.
therefore your margin will be
2.
2
Mm-hmm.
over 7. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, the rule says converting from markup to margin, you add your numerator to your denominator.
Mm-hmm.
Then your numerator stays the same. You can take note of that.
Okay.
Converting from markup to margin, you add your numerator to your denominator, then
Mm-hmm.
your numerator will stay the same. So 2 is the same, and then you take your denominator, you add your numerator, and then you get 7. So your margin will be 2 over 7. And now in case where you are told that okay, your sales is $100, your sales is $100, ne? So you are given sales and markup. Therefore, you had to convert to you had to convert to margin, ne? So now after converting, now you have your margin of 2 over 7. Now you can use it to find your gross profit using your sales. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do we change from margin to markup? Converting. Now converting margin to markup. Now when you're converting margin to markup is this.
Mm-hmm.
Now for instance, you are given that okay, still it's 2 over 5, ne? Okay, now
Mm-hmm.
you're told that your margin is 2 over 5, ne? And you are actually asked to you are given your cost of sales and margin, and we know that cost of sales and margin cannot work together. So what do you need to do? So because of that, you'll be required to convert your margin to markup. Now to convert your margin to markup, it's the opposite. It says the rule says that take the numerator as it is, and then you subtract
Mm-hmm.
your numerator from your denominator. Now in this case you are not adding, and therefore your markup will be 2 over 3. Do you understand?
Mm. Yes.
Okay. So here the rule says that when converting margin to markup, you take your numerator, then you subtract it from your denominator.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just go, please? Close the door. Okay. So when changing from margin to markup, you subtract your numerator from your denominator. And when from changing from markup to margin, you add your numerator to your denominator. That's the only thing that you need to know.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Is it fine?
It's fine. Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to our slides. Okay. So for example, in this example, you are given that okay, complete in class the following figures are for 2005, ne? So you are required to
Mm-hmm.
find the gross profit and your sales figure, ne? Now you are okay, you are given a markup
Mm-hmm.
of 20%, but you are not given sales and you are not given cost of sales. But if you look at the figures that you are given, are you able to calculate cost of sales, or are you able to calculate sales using these figures? If you have to
I
get
don't
such
know.
an exam, the first thing now, like you have to ask yourself, if you get such an exercise, ne? or such a question.
Mm-hmm.
You are not given sales amount and you are not given cost of sales amount. So you look at the figures that at the accounts that you are given. You are given inventories and purchases. Now you ask yourself, will I be able to calculate my sales amount, because you need either a sales or cost of sales in order to find your gross profit, ne? Now,
Mm-hmm.
using these amounts, are you able to calculate your sales? No. But if you check at these accounts closely, you know that these are the accounts that are used in calculating your cost of sales. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? Cost of sales equals to opening inventory, you add purchases, and then you less your closing inventory, then you get your cost of sales. So looking at the figures, you should be able to tell what account or what amount you can be able to calculate using those figures. Now, in this case, you are given components of cost of
Okay.
sales, so you can calculate your cost of sales amount. By taking opening inventory, you add purchases, that will give us 5,600, right? And then you minus closing stock, and then we'll get a cost of
Mm-hmm.
sales of 5,000. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. Now that you got 5,000, you are 5,000 cost of sales. Now we are given markup, and we say that
Mm-hmm.
markup is used with cost of sales. So we do not even need to change anything to convert anything here, because we are given markup and we calculated our cost of sales. So we can use our markup to find our gross profit. So 5,000 multiplied by 20%, then you get your gross profit. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. And then from there, how do we find your sales? Now, when it comes to ratios, ne, or incomplete records, you should know your income statement by heart. You understand? You should know your financial
Mm-hmm.
statements by heart. Now, for instance, here you are asked to calculate your sales amount. Given your cost of sales and
Mm-hmm.
gross profit, just know that how do we find gross profit? It's sales less cost of sales, then you get gross profit. Then obviously, now if you are to calculate now your sales, what did we say? It's your cost of sales, the cost you incurred, then you add your gross profit. That's when you get your selling price. That's how you get your sales. Do you understand?
Mm.
So you should just be able to play with numbers, and you should also know your income statement by heart.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Are you sure? I don't trust that answer.
Mm, I do. Um, I do.
Okay, let's try another example. Okay, this is now the trading statement of what we did, ne?
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you're maybe getting confused, you can even just draw up a trading account, ne? For instance, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
draw up a trading account, then you put all the amounts that you are given. Now, in this case, you have your sales you're not given, cost of sales you're not given, and then you're given your inventory. You add your purchases, you less your closing inventory. Then obviously, if you know that if you work out this, then you will get your cost of sales, which is 5,000. Do you understand?
Yes.
Then you can use the 5,000, because you are given a markup. You can use the 5,000 to get your gross profit. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And now
Mm-hmm.
you have to find your sales. Now, how do you find your sales? Obviously, sales will be cost of sales, the cost you incurred, the $50 you incurred to buy the shoes were 50, and then you had to add an amount to add a profit on that amount, that is called gross profit. So you added the $30,
Mm.
that is gross profit. And then After now, 50 plus 30 will give you 80, which is the selling price. Do you understand?
Yes.
Which is the sales amount. So cost of sales equals to sales equals to cost of sales. You add your gross profit.
Mm.
Do you understand?
I understand. I think this way of drawing the statement,
Mm.
it's a bit easier.
Or you can I don't know. There's this way. So you have let me I think if that will do. So sales equals to or sales minus cost of sales equals to gross profit, ne?
Mm-hmm.
That you already know from the trading account. Do you understand? So
Mm-hmm.
plot where there is no figure, you should put an X because you are looking for X. Do you understand? So sales
Yeah.
amount, there is an X. You
Mm-hmm.
minus cost of sales, which is 5,000, then equals to quickly calculate our gross profit. 5,000 times 20
Okay.
times 20%. How much are we getting?
1,000.
1,000, eh? So our gross
Yes.
profit is 1,000. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Now look for X. You know how to look for X. Obviously, we are back to
Yes.
math. You work out the like terms, ne?
Mm.
So you put the like terms on one side, and you know that as soon as a term crosses the what? The equal sign, then the sign needs to change. So you
Mm.
want you want X, you are looking for X. So make X the subject of the formula. Since you are looking for your X,
Mm.
make X the subject of the formula. So you will have X equals to the 1,000, and then now you bring the 5,000 to where the 1,000 is. At least you are able to calculate this. So once now bringing,
Mm.
if you bring the 10 to the other side of the equal sign, then the sign needs to change. So it was a negative sign, so it becomes positive 5,000.
Mm.
So obviously your X will be 6,000. So which method
6,000.
will really help?
Mm. The second one.
Which
This
method do
one.
you
The
think will
second one
help?
with the X. So,
Eh?
um, the one with solving for X.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one will work, but then it
The
will
one for
also
solving
just
for X,
work
ne?
at certain. Yeah, but it won't work with everything, right? Or will it?
It will work with most of the things. Calculating your cost of sales,
With
your
most of.
sales, even your purchases. Sometimes you can be given
Mm.
your gross profit. Okay, you can be given margin,
Mm.
ne? You are asked to you
Mm.
are okay, sorry, you are given margin and you're also given your sales amount. So you're asked to calculate your gross profit, you're asked to calculate your cost of sales, and you're also asked to calculate your purchases amount. Then you
Mm.
obviously will have to use your X. So the first thing, you find your cost
Okay.
of sales using now the X. Now once you find your cost of sales,
Mm.
you know that okay, my cost of sales equals to inventory. You add purchases, you less closing inventory.
Mm.
Now because the purchases you're not given, you need to put X. Do you understand?
That's yeah.
And then obviously you'll need to
Mm.
make X the subject of the formula. So in most cases, I even find that make solving for
Okay.
X is much easier because it's used in most cases. Do you understand?
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Understand?
So we
Mm.
move on. Oh, how do I erase this? So we move on. If it's known that cost of goods plus profit plus gross profit equals to sales, and also that cost of goods sold plus percentage of markup equals to sales, then the following is known. 5,000 times 20% will give you our sales amount. So the 20% is 1,000. So 5,000 plus 1,000 will give us our selling price, which is 6,000. So let's look at this
Mm.
example. Exactly. You are given our margin, we are given sales, and we are asked to calculate gross profit and purchases figures. Ne? So the first thing,
Mm-hmm.
who is this now? Just give me a second quickly. Hello?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, can you call me at 6:30, or I'll get back to you because I'm busy giving class now. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now in this case, you are given your opening and closing inventory, and then your sales amount, and then you're also given margin. So you're asked to calculate to find your gross profit and purchases figures. Ne? So we know that we are
Mm-hmm.
given sales and margin. Sales and margin can be used to calculate gross profit. Ne? So let's find our
Mm-hmm.
gross profit first. How much is our gross profit?
Hmm?
So
Are you waiting for an answer?
6,400 times 25% is how much? What is our gross profit?
Okay. Sorry. 1,600.
So 1,600 is our gross profit. Now we are given a trading account here. You are asked to calculate
Mm-hmm.
our gross profit and our purchases amount. Okay, so we calculated our gross profit. It was how much? 1,000?
1,600.
1,600. Ne? That is our
Mm.
gross profit. Now we need to find now we are asked to calculate gross profit and purchases, right? But we know that you cannot find purchases if you do not know your cost of goods sold. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So finding our cost of goods sold, obviously we'll know that, okay, sales minus cost of sales will give us gross profit. Okay, so in this case our sales we are given that is 6,400 minus x, which we are not given, equals to 1,600. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So we are making x the subject of the formula. So we
Mm-hmm.
have 6,400. Now, because there's a negative sign at x, you want it to be positive. Ne? So what you need to do is you need to convert for the x to be positive, you need to convert it to the other side. Do you understand? So the x, you will need to take it
Mm-hmm.
to the other side, and you bring the 1600 to this side. Now, because the 1600 is a positive sign, once it crosses the equal sign, it will become a negative 1600 equals to x. Do you understand?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Equals to x. So 6400 minus 1600 will give us our cost of sales amount, which is how much?
4,800.
5000.
4,800.
So it will be 4800. So in this case, our cost of sales amount will be 4800,
Mm-hmm.
like that. You understand?
Okay. Yes.
Now that we have our oh,
Cost of
now that we have our cost of goods sold, we are now able to calculate our purchases amount. How? Because we know that the formula of calculating cost of sales equals to still your x,
mm-hmm.
cost of sales equals to opening stock, you add purchases, ne? You minus closing stock,
Mm-hmm.
like that. Okay, so what are we given? Our cost of sales, we know that is 4800 equals to our opening stock, we are told that is 500. We are not given purchases, so it's plus x, ne?
Mm-hmm.
And then we minus closing stock. Our closing stock, we are told that is 800. So solve for x. We are looking for x. Make x the subject of the formula. So because x is already a positive here, so we do not need to take it to the other side. So we take
Mm.
4800. You take all the whole numbers to the other side. You are trying to make x the subject of the formula. So because 500 is a positive number, once it crosses the equal sign, it becomes negative. Ne? Do you
Yeah.
understand?
Yes.
And then 800 is a negative number. So when it crosses the sign, it becomes positive
The positive.
800 equals to your x that you are looking for. So what will be your x? 4800 minus 500 plus 800 will give us how much?
5,100.
5000?
100.
5100, and that is our purchases amount. So we record it here at purchases as 5100.
Mm.
Do you understand?
Yes.
That's great. Okay, so we move on. You are told that it is known that cost of goods sold plus gross profit equals to sales, and sales less gross profit equals to cost of goods sold. Then the following is known: sales minus 25% margin will give us our cost of sales. Ne? So 6400
Mm.
minus our gross profit of 1400, 1600 will give us our cost of sales of 4800. That was it. For real.
Oh, this unit, it's one of those that I try, but
Ne?
it get a
So,
little
do
bit
you
much.
understand?
A little bit, but maybe it's because I didn't revise on the statements.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so I think there's still another. Let me just make sure. So those are not the only
I think if
ratios, ne?
mm,
Those are not the only
wait, wait,
ratios.
oh,
I think
mm,
if you go back, the videos I have sent you of 2018 question paper. Question one was
mm,
on what on it was on ratios, and we're given a lot of ratios to calculate,
mm,
including inventory turnover, debtors collection period, and so on. Creditors collection period. There are actually a lot of ratios that you are asked to prepare. So if you can go through those videos, let me
right?
just check what this because there are still some slides. I don't know what they are for. Lesson 9 ratios. When are you writing accounting?
On is it the Thursday? Next week
Next week.
Thursday. Yeah. And
Wow.
next week Friday.
Oh.
And Wednesday I'm writing stats.
Ah.
I'm saying on Wednesday I'm writing stats.
Okay.
But then the theory, it's okay. Even the one that we wrote today, you just need to go through the slides and make notes.
mm.
Mm.
Um. Okay. So in the slides above, these are the explanations I was giving you that changing.
Mm.
What low system resources may affect your audio? Try closing some applications to improve. No, what applications? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So these are now the relationship between markup and margin, how to change from markup to margin, and how to change from margin to markup. Ne? We said changing from markup to margin, you add your numerator, and then changing from margin to markup, you subtract your numerator.
Yes.
So the commonly used accounting ratios. So there are some ratios used commonly for comparing results of one period to those of other or previous um, periods. Two of those used
Mm.
are gross profit to sales, which is now the markup, and gross profit is just gross profit to sales is just margin. Ne?
Okay.
If you're asked to calculate gross profit to sales, then you just know that it's gross profit over sales. And if you're asked to, you
Mm-hmm.
can be asked to calculate net profit over sales or your net profit margin. The word margin, eh? If you see the word
Mm-hmm.
margin, just know that it's something over sales. So net profit margin, then you know that it's net profit over sales. And if you see the word markup, then you know
Okay.
that it has to do with cost of sales. So net profit markup, then you know that it's net profit over cost of sales, like that. Do you understand?
Mm. Yes.
So we have inventory turnover, also called stock turnover. Let me just
Mm-hmm.
tell this. Okay. Open class 1740. Okay. So inventory turnover, also called your stock turnover. Those
Mm-hmm.
are the other two ratios that you can you can be given to calculate. So gross profit sales, you just know that okay, it's gross profit as a percentage of sales. In other words, it's margin. So it's gross profit divided by sales, then you multiply with 100 because it's percentages, so it has to be out of 100. Ne?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're told that now the ratio is used to test the profitability of the sales. Just that the sales revenue has increased, it does not mean the gross profit will increase. Now, actually, um this ratio is actually just used to calculate the profitability. How much profit are you making out of your sales, out of your total sales? Meaning that if your
Mm-hmm.
sales, what percentage of your sales is your gross profit, is your profit? Do you understand? So if you are making sales
Mm-hmm.
of for 50,000, so what percentage of 50,000 is your gross profit? Example, you have a trading account here of 2006 and 2007. Ne? You are asked to
Mm-hmm.
calculate gross profit as a percentage of sales in 2006. So gross profit as a percentage of 6 in 2006. Obviously, you have sales or 1,400 divided by sales. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your 1,400 divided by sales. You multiply your answer with 100, and that's how you get your margin or your gross profit.
Oh,
Um,
it
or your gross
works.
profit what? Your gross profit as a percentage of sales. Now,
Mm.
this it's usually you're not really asked. I never saw a question in fundamental asking you to interpret the ratios only in financial. So next year is the only year when you're going to interpret. Now looking at the gross profit of the 2 years
Mm-hmm.
of 2006 and 2007, then you interpret. Ne? So in
Mm-hmm.
2007 you got, in 2006 you got 20%, and in 2007 you got 12.5%. Oh, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, you will need to interpret that. That will come next year in financial. So this is not
Okay.
what's important for you now. Here is just know how to find or know how to calculate your gross profit margin, or just know how to calculate all your ratios.
Mm-hmm.
Ne? So I think what I can do is
Okay.
I'll try. Will I get time? Okay. I'll try writing down all the ratios that you need to know, and then I'll send them to you. Ne?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll write down all the
Okay. Thank
ratios
you.
that you need in accounting, and I'll send them to you
Okay. Thank you.
after the classes,
No problem.
and then we can go through them maybe tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So inventory turnover. Inventory worth of 100 at cost and sell it for one at cost and sell it for 125. If we sold this inventory 8 times per year, it will be 8 times 25, which will give us 200 gross profit. Okay, this is not really clear, so I'll give you I'll send you the whole list of the ratios and the formulas, ne? Then you just need to
Okay.
know, or I think to memorize the formulas. It's the only way, because they are
Mm.
fixed, they do not change. Do you understand?
Yes.
So I'll just write down all the formulas that you need to know in fundamentals of accounting, and then you just memorize
Okay.
them. Is that fine?
Mm. It's fine. Yes.
Yeah. And because yeah, now the formula of inventory turnover is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Then you get it in number of times. But sometimes you can be asked to convert it or to give your answer in number of days. So add all this. I'll include all this in the formula in the document that I'll be sending you. So I'll just do it immediately after the 5:30 class.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can send them to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you can try doing these examples. You can
Mm.
try doing these examples or these exercises. Then you can send me your answers so I go through.
Okay.
Yeah, except for exercise 3 because this has 10 over and so on. Then I'll
Okay.
send you the whole list today, and then tomorrow we can have class, so I explain the
Mm.
whole all the ratios.
All right.
Yeah. Is that okay?
It's fine. Yes. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, thank you. We have class.
Mm. Thank. Oh yeah.
Okay. Stop sharing and Justin.
Yeah. Are you going to open a new one?
Yeah,
Should I leave on this one or what?
I think I need to open a new one because I was recording this session.
Okay.
Then I'll
All
need
right.
to
Cool. All
yeah
right.
to open a new one.